Well, it looks like Mark Carney and his crew want to keep up the economic and safety attacks for Canada and still somehow connect it to the US as if they're the problem. Meanwhile, we can see clear parallels to what was happening in the UK to what will be happening in Canada when it comes to digital IDs and some of these other projects that they're working on. There is a trend here, but we might have a light at the end of the tunnel. There's a sacred cow in Canada. One of the industries that was a big reason for the trade war is potentially on the chopping block. Probably not. There's a lot to talk about in today's video, so let's get into it.
We're seized with the impact these tariffs are having on our industries. We're taking the time necessary to secure what, in our judgment, might be a good deal for the Canadian economy. We're making progress. We're not there yet, but Mr. Chair, that work continues.
It's so funny to me that they continue to say like, oh, we're making progress and we're just not there yet. Oh, you mean with all of your language of still taking on the US, it turns out you're not there yet? And being as they have a government shutdown right now, I don't think there's going to be a lot of high priority put on the Canada-US trade relations when they've got their own things that they're trying to push through. But don't worry, Dominic LeBlanc, the man himself, is going to be taking it all on.
We're not there yet, Dominic LeBlanc says, and that's something the government has been saying for quite a while now. It doesn't look like, on the surface at least, there's a whole lot of action, but LeBlanc was telling senators today on that committee that no, the conversations continue.
Yeah, right. So I do think it's funny that finally we are seeing some level of very, very light mainstream pushback, and again, very light mainstream pushback, because I'm not going to give them too much credit just yet, because for some reason they're really trying to minimize the amount of time that they've had to get a deal done. The amount of time. One of the people said, well, we've only actually been in session for 34 days. That was your choice. The Liberal Party decided during a trade war that we've never experienced, you know, the biggest, highest priority, Canada is under threat, to take the entire summer off. You guys chose that. So don't act like you've been like limited for time. You've also been in power for almost a decade. It's crazy that I have to remind people that, but for some reason Canadians will just buy into that mainstream cover right away. Like, well, it's only been 34 days and, you know, it's a new government. It's not. But here's Pierre with an interesting statement to a question about the new pipelines. I don't know if he fully answered it correctly, but yeah, well, let's just get into it.
Do you agree with your premier that a new West Coast pipeline is a litmus test for whether Canada still works and whether we can still build things in this country?
So that was an important question there, and I didn't say this directly in the other video when I covered the pipeline, but Daniel Smith said this is a litmus test to see if Canada still works as a country. So that was some hard separatist language that we saw being dangled out there, and that's what I was putting in the video too, because that's what I had seen when I had said like, this is the test. Can Canada work together? Because he doesn't call out one of the other big problems here in this answer.
Almost. I think it's a litmus test for Mark Carney. There was a lot of grandiose promises by Mr. Carney during the election that he would build, baby, build faster than you'd ever imagined we could build. So when is this building going to happen? Here we are, 6 months after he took office, and the new Liberal government looks an awful lot like the old Liberal government. The last 6 months looks an awful lot like the last 10 years, where they block, baby, block. So there's only one person who will decide if this pipeline gets built, and it's Mark Carney. So I would encourage you all to ignore provincial politicians who have no authority in this matter, like the reality is the federal government.
So he almost called out Eby there, who's the premier, or aka the governor of BC, because he's the one who came out directly, and I called him out months ago when he said, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I said, that guy is actively saying by avoiding these that he's not going to approve a pipeline or work with Daniel Smith on a pipeline. What happened is he actually said in his comments, when I said those comments, I was being polite. We will never allow a pipeline. Okay, yeah, we knew that. Without exaggerating, without hyperbole, I truly do think this is a test. This project is a test on if Canada will last as a country. The bare minimum that they have to do is get it on the list. And then you've covered off all of the concerns. All it has to do is hit the list so that people have some level of hope for Canada. But if they don't, that's just like, no, it's tough to bounce back.
Has the full authority over interprovincial pipelines. So there's one man who stands in the way of this pipeline getting built. It's Mark Carney. If the Liberals want it built, they will immediately repeal the tanker ban so the pipe can fill a ship that goes abroad, the production cap so that our producers can make enough oil to go in the pipe, and C-69 so that the pipe can get rapidly approved. Mark Carney really only has to do one thing: get out of the way.
Yeah, and he already said he's not repealing those things, which is, again, why this seems so purposeful. This seems so targeted. Because if you've followed the channel for a while, you know one of the big issues when it comes to Canada-US trade relations has been supply management within the dairy industry. That's where a lot of the tariff concerns are. So this article came out that said Ottawa weighs greater retail access for U.S. dairy industry. Ottawa is considering changes that would allow more U.S. dairy products on Canadian store shelves in an effort to address one of Washington's most significant bilateral trade irritants, according to sources familiar with the federal government's consultation process within the industry. But let's look at what's admitted later in the article, where they tell the truth. Canada's supply management system will never be on the table. Oh, okay, so basically you're not serious about making any changes at all. Keep in mind, the U.S. is not the only country who has complained about Canada's supply management system. It has been complained about globally by multiple countries. It's actually something that needs to change, that would help Canadians both from an affordability perspective and from an options perspective. And the thing that is so insane to me from the supply management, from blocking out the U.S., is people act like, well, if we put U.S. products on the shelf, that means we have to buy U.S. now. No. You don't have to buy the products because they're now on the shelves. If you believe in a free market, then still just buy the Canadian products. It's the same thing with the Chinese EVs. People think, well, if we remove the tariffs from the EVs, now we just have to buy Chinese EVs. Don't buy them. Don't buy them. Literally nobody is forcing you to buy them. It's so funny that, like, it's just, well, if they're available, now we have to. Shout out to Doug Ford for finally admitting he was going to do something right. He drives me crazy, Doug Ford says. He said he's going to ignore Trump after 51st state threat is revived. Okay, so good news coming out of the Doug Ford camp when it comes to the U.S. trade relations. He'll be shutting up for once. All right, that's positive. But this article is actually something that I wanted to talk about because I actually think they buried the lead with this story. So the story they have is Alberta tops Canada for social mobility. Quebec is dead last, finds the study. So you wonder, Alberta, which offers the most social mobility out of all of the Canadian provinces, is the province that seems to be actively held back the most by the federal government. So why would the federal government continue to attack, to hold back the province, which allegedly is the one that's offering people the most success? The reason I said they buried the lead is because of these parts here. Social mobility is what makes the difference between having agency and moving up the income ladder or being stuck in inherited poverty, says Justin Calais of one of the report's authors. Alberta notably had fewer legal and regulatory barriers to mobility than other provinces, making it easier for residents to pursue quality education, training, enter occupations, and find adequate housing close to where they work. So once again, it's provincial barriers. It's Canadian government barriers holding Canadians back. Stop blaming Donald Trump for all of the problems when they're proving right here it's being done domestically. Despite coming out on top, Alberta still has much room for improvement. So keep in mind, it's the #1 best province, and it's earning just 57 of a possible 100 points. Here's the haymaker here of this story, the most important part, okay? Keep in mind, we are told how well Canada's doing, how Canada is one of the top economies in the G7. It's so perfect. Canadians are so lucky that we've had Liberals for 10 years. But the fact that no Canadian province gets a grade of 60% or above is an indictment of the web of regulations that have cemented society in place and prevented so many from bettering their situation, said Renault. Canadians rightly expect to see their hard work pay off, and government policy should not stand in the way of that. So it almost feels like the federal and the Liberal governments all across Canada have been holding Canadians back, have been doing everything they can to keep their control, keep Canadians down in the gutter, keep Canadians poor, and then they rely on government services and government intervention, including when it comes to safety. This government has the ability to make any changes they want. If they brought bills to the front that made sense, that conservatives could vote for, they would vote for them. But look at his answer here. It's crazy.
Mr. Speaker, crime victims don't want the Prime Minister's sympathy. They want to know why he's broken his promise. They want to know why Liberal bail remains in place, allowing for the same repeat offenders to offend again and again. The body of a woman was found in the last few days in Saint Jerome, Quebec, killed by her partner, who had been arrested 30 times before but released on Liberal bail. Will the Prime Minister
30 times.
Finally scrap Liberal bail, or better yet, get out of the way so that we can do the jobs ourselves?
He has the power to do all of this. These changes could happen. But here's his answer. You know, we got to bring America into this.
Mr. Speaker, this government is bringing forward comprehensive bail reform. This comprehensive bail reform is based on extensive consultations with the provinces and territories. It's based on extensive discussions with law enforcement. It is based on evidence. It is not based on cut and paste American bail laws. It's a bail law that works. We are tough on crime and firm on the rights of Canadians.
So that has just become Canadian politics 101. Oh, you want to be like America? We're so much better than America and Canada. You think we want American laws up here? Cut and paste from the Americans? And then the Canadians are like, just drooling, the Liberals. And they're like, we don't want to be Americans. It's like, oh, okay, I'm glad the NPCs are happy to hear that. However, once again, we can see they are sacrificing Canadian safety without making any real changes. They've created this issue. They've created the problem of danger in the Canadian society. They allow it to get worse until Canadians are begging for stricter laws, which is a good thing. But then they go, oh, okay, you want stricter laws? Well, we've got some laws for you. And you go, oh, why are they allowing this to happen? And they put out Bill C2. Then they put out Bill C8. And you go, oh, wait, so you are using this to just create total controlled dystopian? Because we have this government-promoted video here, Canada's trusted digital identity vision. So obviously, digital IDs are something the government has on the agenda. Check this out.
Sometimes applying for government benefits can be a lengthy and complicated process. The Government of Canada's vision is to enable Canadians to use trusted digital identity.
I love that it went to this guy. It said to enable Canadians, and then it showed this guy. Okay, sure.
Identities for quick and easy access to online services. Emily's having a baby soon and is applying for benefits. Today, she has to complete an online application form, then wait 5 to 10 days for an access code. When it arrives in the mail, she will use it to create an account and set up direct deposit. What if she could do all this at once from any device? She'd confirm who she is using her provincial or territorial trusted digital ID, consent to using personal information from her digital ID, and may choose to receive notifications. Once approved, she'd decide how to get paid.
Look, our government is so hard to deal with. We've got so many rules in place. Don't you want to just make it easy by getting a digital ID? Sure, it will make it much easier for us to kick you off government services, to kick you off the internet, so much so that they're putting a bill in place that would allow them to kick individuals off the internet. You would be banned from the internet as an individual. That's insane. Canadian bill would strip internet access from specified persons, and the rules that the amount of power they would have to be able to do this through Bill C8 would be insane, the amount of government oversight and how easy it would be for them to use it. The denial of service would require only the personal order of the Minister of Industry, a position currently filled by Mélanie Joly, in consultation with the Public Safety Minister, a position currently filled by Gary Anang de Sangduri. So, 2 individual ministers would be able to kick an individual person off the internet. Do you guys realize how crazy that is? They can't figure out how to keep criminals in jail, so they have to just allow them out on bail constantly. Now, what they would be able to do is they're going to amend the Telecommunications Act with the clause requiring the telecom providers, such as Rogers or TELUS, to pull the services of any individual customer singled out by Ottawa. So now the federal government, who refuses to crack down on criminals, wants the power to individually ban people from the internet. This is insane. Without hyperbole, it's clearly very dystopian, the idea that this freak, this loser, would have the individual power to just kick you off the internet. And you wonder, why do they want the digital IDs? Why do they want more laws? Oh, but don't worry, they continue to create worse problems because Canada is failing to count how many overstay their visas. We don't even know how many people are in Canada, people who are foreigners, strangers, who shouldn't be here, but it's more important to them that they have the power to individually control a single citizen's internet. It's hard to run a city or country when you don't know how many people actually live in them. How can public officials and businesses plan for housing, workers, schools, water supply, physicians, rental units, or social services when they don't know how many individuals need them? According to experts, that is the problem in Canada, especially in Toronto and Vancouver regions. The federal government isn't being transparent about how many people in Canada remain in the country after their visas expire. They're not even checking. They're not even looking. So once again, we can see the parallels between what's happening in the UK and what's going to happen in Canada. But for some reason, they want you distracted. They want you against the US, you know, the country that has the most freedom, the country that we need to have the most partnership with. Once again, as we can see, this is a clear and controlled operation by the Liberals to create problems and then offer the solutions, because it doesn't make sense that they're choosing to not get a deal with the US, including not help supply management, which would help grocery prices, not lock up criminals, not deal with immigration, you know, like shutting it down, potentially pay attention to who's actually in the country. And then they're putting out videos that are talking about digital ID. Very strange. But if you made it this far in the video, you absolutely rock. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're trying to get these videos out in front of more people. We are trying to grow the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do it through the link down below. You can also do it through YouTube directly. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.